Sorry about the slap. I didn't mean to hurt you, just stress. Give me the fucking phone! I'm calling the chopper, I don't want to hear another word about it. Yeah, as soon as possible. He'll be there in 30 minutes, okay?
The movie kicks off with a wide, stunning view of a scorching desert, endless sand, rugged cliffs, and total silence. A helicopter cuts through the sky, carrying a man named Richard and his gorgeous girlfriend Jennifer. They're heading to Richard's private desert villa, planning to enjoy some alone time before his annual hunting trip with the boys. Before leaving, the pilot hands Richard a little gift, a pouch of peyote for a wild weekend. Once they land, the chemistry between Richard and Jennifer explodes. She's confident, flirty, and dangerously seductive. One look turns into a heated night of passion. But the next day, the truth hits. Richard isn't single. A call from his wife reminds us he's a married man with kids. Jennifer, still in her underwear, walks into the kitchen like she owns the place, unaware of the chaos about to come. Jennifer suddenly freezes when Richard's hunting buddies show up. A day earlier than planned, Richard's annoyed this was supposed to be their private getaway. Now he's forced to play host and pretend everything's normal. The two men, Stan and Dimitri, are quickly introduced, and it's obvious Stan can't take his eyes off Jennifer. Later that night, they all chill by the pool, soaking in the desert view. Dimitri fiddles with binoculars while Richard brags about the pilot's gift, a bag of peyote. He laughs, saying one hit could knock out a whole football team, even sharing a creepy story about some guy who tripped so hard he cut off his own leg. To avoid trouble, Richard tells Jen to hide the stuff, but instead, she slips it into her necklace. Then, under the desert night, Jennifer starts to dance, slow, teasing, and hypnotic, instantly becoming the center of everyone's attention. As the night goes on, Jennifer takes center stage, dancing like a showgirl, mesmerizing everyone. Stan, completely hypnotized, can't look away, and when she invites him to join her, he jumps right in. The next morning, Stan greets her with a fake smile and an offer for breakfast. But with Richard out, his real intentions start to show. Jennifer politely rejects him, but Stan keeps pushing, following her into her room. When she snaps back that he's not her type, especially because he's short, his pride shatters. The rejection twists into rage and obsession. Moments later, he forces himself on her while Jennifer fights back in terror. Then Dimitri walks in and does nothing. He just turns on the TV, raises the volume, and lets it happen. Hours later, Richard finally comes home to an unsettling silence. Stan casually says there was a small issue with Jen. When Richard checks on her, Jen is trembling, begging him to call the helicopter. She wants to go home. Now, seeing Jen in tears, Richard immediately understands what happened. Furious, he storms out to confront his friends. But instead of truly defending her, he tries to control the situation. When Jen wakes up, she's desperate to leave, begging him to call the helicopter. Richard calmly says his friends will apologize and even offers her money to forget everything. Disgusted, Jen threatens to tell his wife about their affair if he doesn't let her go. That's when Richard snaps. Panicking, Jen runs, but Richard and his friends chase her through the desert until she's trapped at a cliff's edge.
Sorry about the slap. I didn't mean to hurt you, just stress.
Richard pretends to calm her down, promising she can leave soon. Jen starts to relax. Then out of nowhere, he shoves her off the cliff. She falls and is impaled on a tree below. Stan and Dimitri stare in shock, horrified that Richard actually did it. But Richard just tells them coldly that if she talked, they'd all end up in prison. And worse, his wife would find out. With that, the three men quietly pack up their gear, trying to erase what they've just done. They plan to come back later to clean up the scene and pretend nothing ever happened. Just another hunting trip with the boys. But down below, Jen is still alive, impaled on a tree. Ants swarm over her, crawling across her skin. It's a miracle she's even breathing. The branches must have missed her vital organs. Barely conscious, Jen spots the lighter she always carries. Gritting her teeth, she reaches for it, her hands trembling. With one desperate move, she sets the dry shrub around her on fire. The flames eat through the branches, freeing her body, but the thick branch is still stuck in her stomach. Meanwhile, Richard and his friends are driving back to dispose of the body. Jen hears the sound of their truck rumbling in the distance. Panic kicks in. She drags herself through the dirt, blood soaking her shirt, and hides behind a rock just in time. When the men reach the spot and realize she's gone, they freeze. Shock turns to fear. Did someone find her? Or did she somehow crawl away? Determined to find her, they start searching for a way down the cliff. But the route is long and rough. By the time they reach the bottom, night has already fallen. Following the faint trail of blood, they make it to a lake, and there, the tracks vanish. No body, no trace. They decide to split up, each man pretending he's not terrified. Stan, too scared to face the dark, quietly stays back in the car, convincing himself she'll come back on her own. Despite losing a lot of blood, Jen keeps pushing through the pain. From a distance, she hears a vehicle searching for her and quickly hides underwater, holding her breath. Dimitri arrives on his quad, scans the lake, then leaves. Jen crawls out, spotting him nearby and his rifle left by the bike. She seizes the chance, but too late, Dimitri catches her. The gun was just bait. Acting calm, he pretends to soothe her, then calls his friends, planning to torture her first. But Jen snaps. She grabs the knife from his pocket and stabs him again and again until he collapses. Taking his gear and his bike, she rides off, only for it to run out of gas soon after. Barely standing, Jen finds a cave to rest. The pain is unbearable. Desperate, she remembers the drugs hidden in her necklace. Without thinking, she swallows them. Moments later, something strange happens. Her pain fades, her heartbeat steadies. Jen isn't dying anymore. She's changing. The drugs kick in hard. Jen starts hearing voices, her vision twisting and warping. Half conscious, she decides to save herself. With no pain left to feel, she takes the knife and cuts into her own abdomen, steady and cold. She pulls out the branch, then burns the wound shut with a hot tin can. No scream, no flinch, just pure survival. By morning, Stan wakes up in the Jeep while Richard returns empty-handed, still clueless that Dimitri is dead. When Stan heads to the lake, he freezes. Dimitri's corpse floats right up. Richard explodes in anger, while Stan stays quiet, his fury boiling inside. He knows Jen did this. They dump their friend's body and plan their next move, desperate to hunt her down. Meanwhile, deep in the cave, Jen is alive, scarred but stronger. She looks at the burned beer can mark on her stomach, pockets the metal bird symbol, grabs her rifle and steps out, ready for revenge. Turns out, everything was just a drug-fueled nightmare. When Jen wakes, she's no longer the same terrified girl. She's pure vengeance now. With fire in her eyes and a shotgun in hand, she heads into the desert to hunt the men who destroyed her. Meanwhile, Richard and Stan find Jen's abandoned quad and split up to search. Stan, still nursing a broken nose, checks his reflection in a mirror, not realizing that Flash just gave Jen his location. Barefoot and bleeding, she stalks him like prey. When Stan's bike starts to sputter out of gas, Jen takes aim through the 8x scope and fires. The bullet tears into his shoulder. Not a kill shot, but enough to make him scream. She follows the blood trail through the sand, but it suddenly stops. All that's left is one of Stan's shoes. Hiding close by, Stan reloads his gun, waiting for the perfect moment to strike back. Stan tries to steady his aim, but the bullet wound in his shoulder throws him off. His shot barely grazes Jen's ear, and she bolts while he keeps firing wildly. Thinking fast, Jen uses broken glass from her flashlight to slow him down, and it works. The shards cut deep into Stan's feet, leaving him howling in pain. Limping, he yanks the glass out and drags himself back to the car, blood dripping with every step. His leg barely works, but pure rage pushes him to keep going. Moments later, Jen strikes back and finally kills the man who violated her. As she catches her breath, Richard's voice crackles through the radio, fueling her hatred all over again. Meanwhile, Richard, frustrated and on edge, still can't find her. When Stan doesn't answer his calls, he realizes the ugly truth. Jen's not running anymore. She's hunting. Richard readies his escape, calling the pilot for a pickup. Freshly cleaned and ready to go, he suddenly hears a noise. Despite being stark naked, he grabs his gun and goes to check. Thinking Jen's return for revenge, he searches every corner. Nothing. Then, out of nowhere, the TV flickers on. His heart sinks. She's here. Before he can react, Jen fires. The shotgun blast tears into his stomach. What follows is a brutal firefight, both bleeding and desperate. This time it's over. The men who destroyed her life are gone, and Jen, battered but unbroken, steps outside into the blazing desert sun. As the sound of a helicopter echoes overhead, she stands still, free at last, and reborn through vengeance. In the end, Jen's story reminds us, when people push someone too far, even the quietest soul can become unstoppable. It's not just revenge, It's survival, justice, and reclaiming power. Never underestimate the strength of someone you've wronged. If you enjoyed this recap, hit that like button, subscribe, and stay tuned because karma always finds its way back.